Hey, welcome to the Push-Pull Sales and Marketing Podcast. I'm Marcello.
And I'm Sherry, and each week we'll provide you with sales and marketing strategies that you can implement immediately into your own business. We have been gone for a week or so. We were on vacation up in the Adirondacks. We're back, and today we're going to be talking about
getting past the gatekeeper. So similar to what we're talking about in terms of cold calling, we're mainly going to cover on the phone, but we'll also just talk about meetings in person as well. So first off, when someone says gatekeeper, it really is. You don't really want to.
Can I tell you what I think when you say gatekeeper?
Yeah,
I think like troll under the bridge. Like tell me a riddle.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Dora the Explorer, and you got the guy under the bridge.
I'm the grumpy old troll who lives under the bridge.
Perfect, exactly. And that is not what you want to think of that person as, and that's actually what I was going to talk about. When we talk about the gatekeeper, you're dealing with a person who, it's an individual, it's a person, and their job, it's not only to screen people and keep people away too. I mean, some people do make it through, and some people don't. When it comes to that, you don't want to treat them like a troll or anything like that. You want to treat that person extremely well. So my first tip, and most of these tips are going to be mental in pretty much every podcast too, is you need to have your mind frame. You need to have your mind frame right, or
get your mind right.
Yeah, you're going to need to get your mindset right, and not say, oh, this person's a gatekeeper. This person, they're a horrible person and blah blah. Treat them like an individual. So one of my first,
they have a job to do too. I mean, they're there for a reason. There are plenty of calls that come in that do need screened out, and it's their responsibility to figure out what's a waste of time and what's not, or they won't have that job for much longer.
Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing is that if there is a gatekeeper and you're well trained and you know what you're doing, that means that there's going to be less of your competitors that are actually able to make it through.
True. So
if you do get through, you have a better chance of closing the business. You have less competition in there. So first off, you don't want to treat them bad. You want to treat them very, very politely. One technique I recommend is to kind of do the whole lost lamb approach, which is basically like say, hey, can you help me out or anything like that. So if I'm having a call and say I'm calling John Jones and Sherry answers the phone, so hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Hey, my name's Joe. I'm calling from ABC Company. I'm looking for John Jones.
I'm sorry, he's not available right now.
Okay, great. Does he have voicemail, or do you have his email address?
I could patch you through to his voicemail.
Okay, perfect. Great. Hey, I certainly appreciate that.
I'm not a very good gatekeeper.
she's not a very good gatekeeper or something like that. An example, if we play that again, and typically, when you're dealing with a gatekeeper and someone whose job is to do that, they will ask,
why are you calling?
What is this call in reference to?
Okay.
And they'll say just like that, hey, and what is this call in reference to? And they also might say, is this a sales call or anything like that, or and what's the call about? So another tip when it comes to that point, again, I'm very politely. Politely is polite and friendly. So I'm very polite and I'm very friendly with her.
That.
And I try to keep it conversational. Politely, that's patent pended. That's mine. So if you use it, send me $10. It's on sale right now. But yeah, you're going to be very polite. But they will say, okay, what is this call in reference to, or is this a sales call? So my second tip, which is going to come into play, is going to be know what you're calling about and have a good answer for that. So have a plan. You should not waffle with that. And if they have any sense of doubt, or if you sound like you don't know what you're doing, they're going to be like, no, I'm sorry, he's not available, even if that person actually is. So if Sherry's a gatekeeper...
Is that similar to like your elevator pitch, your elevator speech?
Not necessarily, because you just want to get information at that point. I don't necessarily want to, and that's another tip, I'm very glad you brought that up, I don't want to sell to the gatekeeper. Again, they don't necessarily have they don't have the power to say yes, but they do have the power to say no. So actually, there's a book by, I think it's Josiane Fayol, or maybe it's Jill Conrad. You should read them up, by the way. They're very, very good inside sales and just salespeople. And people fall into two categories. One is no power, and the other is no influence. This person can very, very well have influence on the decision maker, but not necessarily power. So this person can answer questions for you, and they can get you more information. They get you to the right person, but they might not necessarily have the power to make a decision. So it's not always best to go in right away and pitch that person. And sometimes you might answer the question, or like they say, hey, what is this call in reference to? So let's say I'm selling office supplies or something like that, or I'm selling printers or faxes, or I don't know, I'm selling a software. Let's go ahead with software. It's an intangible thing.
You always sell software.
Okay, what else do you want me to sell? Windows, doors, locks, hammers. What
something else intangible.
Something else that's accounting.
Insurance.
Insurance. Yeah, I'm selling insurance or something like that. So if I were to call, and that's another thing too, the gatekeeper, the person I'm talking to, they might be able to point me in the right direction. I might assume it's John Jones. I might have done my research, and maybe it's not John Jones. Maybe it's the person I'm talking to, or maybe it's someone else. So let's say I go ahead and call, and I'm selling I'm selling insurance. Let's say, so I say, hey Sherry, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you today?
Good. Hey Sherry, this is Mike. I'm calling from I'm calling from Watkins Financial, and I was looking for John Jones.
Okay, what is this call in reference to?
Maybe you can answer my question. Actually, I was hoping to reach John Jones, but the long and the short of it is what my company does is we help our customers in particular with their property and casualty insurance. So not really sure what you guys have in place. Not really sure if I might be able to help you out. So I was thinking John Jones would be the right person who handles that. Is that right?
Actually, it's going to be Lenny Levittson.
Okay, it's going to be Lenny Levittson. Great. Is he available by any chance?
I'll have to check.
Okay. Now let's go in the scenario. If he's available, I already got past her, but she might say, no, I'm sorry, he's not available.
Okay. No, I'm sorry, he's not available.
Very good. So she's going to be a good gatekeeper. So then if we have that sort of conversation, then I might just get some information out of her. Great. Well, if he's not available, before you put me into his voicemail, let me go ahead and ask you this and say, who are you currently working with right now, or what do you guys currently have? Like if I'm selling property and casualty insurance, how many vehicles do you have for your company? I might say 10. Okay, great. How many employees are with your company? Great. Who do you currently have your workers' comp with? Gotcha. Okay, great. Do you know when you guys actually last renewed? And again, I'm not pitching and I'm not saying, hey, by the way, I'm a local company. I have 110 years of combined experience. I offer the best rates. I work with 12 different people. I don't need to say that. When I know I have the decision maker, that's when I'm gonna say those things. So another tip is to get information from that person.
Mm-hmm. They're a great resource.
They're great. You want to treat them politely and they're friendly. It's the same thing too. Like if someone wanted to sell me something and they wanted to talk to my wife about that. So let's say someone called and wanted to sell, I don't know, software or Windows, or they wanted to sell insurance, and if they wanted to sell insurance to me, or they wanted to sell something, to my company, and they somehow found Sherry, or they somehow found someone else who I know, that person might be able to better get my ear, and you don't want to assume too it could be someone's daughter, it could be someone's wife, you don't know, a maiden name, anything like that. I've seen sales reps totally blow it where they don't even know, where they treat the receptionist, the person who answers the phone, like garbage, and it turns out that's the owner's daughter or something like that. But yeah, you want to be polite. You want to get information from that person. Always leave a voicemail. And then if you do not have the email, I have a couple email strategies with that'll help you get past the gatekeeper. To get to that person. So let's say you leave a voicemail, call back, and you want to ask that person for the email. Say, hey, I just left a message for John Jones or Larry Lebanati or whatever his name is. Hey, do you have his email address? And that person might say, well, no, we don't give that out. So let's say worst case scenario, the person says that, all right, fine. You have plenty of tools to research. You can find it online. If you find out anyone's email address, you can pretty much figure out the formula. So, for example, in most companies, it's first initial, last name, at whatever. Mm-hmm. Or if someone else's first name dot last name. If you got someone else's, you can figure out and you can send that person an email. So let's say you're in a situation where you left a voicemail or where you weren't even able to say, no, I'm sorry, he doesn't have voicemail. You can find an email somehow, or you can find the actual formula. Another technique, and again, you have to be polite and you have to be professional about that too. And you're not, and again, this is not dishonest or anything. That's just a different way to get the information. Might be to say, hey, I just left a voicemail for Jim John. I think, or John Jones, or whatever his name is, doesn't matter. I just left a message for John Jones. I think his email is jjones@abccompany.com. Is that right? And they might say, no, actually, it's j.jones@abc. You're not lying to them. You're saying, I think it is. You're just taking a guess, and let that person correct you. And Sherry, she's kind of smirking at that. She's like, sneaky. But I would always recommend finding the person's email address if you can. Use a couple of the techniques that we actually spoke about. Another basic technique is in regards to how you actually target your calls. So there's a couple different ways to get past the gatekeeper. So let's say you normally deal with a purchasing department. So you're selling to a large corporation, you deal with the purchasing department normally. Above the purchasing department, you have your C-level, your CEO, your CFO, and all that good stuff. Call them first. So don't necessarily call the purchasing manager's assistant or anything like that right away. So I'm going to talk to the president of the company and say, hey, I was looking for Joe, and let's say you get the president's gatekeeper. The president say, well, okay, well, what's this call in reference to? I'm in commercial insurance, and I was looking for this contact. That person is so used to screening calls for their one person, they'll pass you to the other department because they're like, okay, that's not really my problem. They're not going to screen calls for a different department. Or, best case scenario, you do get a hold of the president. The president might be the actual decision maker, or he might say, no, that's actually John. He's down here. Let me transfer you over. And then when you talk to that person and you say with integrity too, hey, I just got off the phone with John Smith. Let's say John Smith's the CEO. And he told me to talk to you. Did I catch you? Is now a good time? Can we talk a little bit? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So now you have the president. You already have his information from there. And another pro tip from here, we should patent that too, pro tip, would be whenever you send an email to that person, the first time, if you have the president's email, CC it too. So again, you're not hiding anything. You're not ashamed of what you're doing. You're selling a good product. You're selling a good service. So say, hey, John, this is Rob with whatever company. Spoke with him. CC that person, and that gives you that much more authority too. And that person is going to take you more seriously.
Yeah, and I'd be a lot more likely to respond to an email to actually consider what's in the email if I know that my boss is looking at it too, because heaven forbid I blow it off, but my boss sees it and thinks it's something valuable, and that comes back on me because I didn't take the time to consider that option.
Yep. That's you always have good points, by the way. I think that's why I married you.
I think so.
You're good. So you want to be likable, you want to be positive. Just to kind of recap some things we talked about. Treat the gatekeeper well. And we talked about some different ways to get the email address, some different ways to get information. A solid tip to not, what are you going to say? A solid tip to not sell to the gatekeeper, unless you know that maybe you were wrong and the gatekeeper is the actual decision maker. So again, just want to recap some of those things. I'm also going to give you some other tips, and I'm just shooting all these out rapid fire. They're in no particular order. There's different techniques you can use. Some people send out an email first and then they call. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but we'll go over some more stuff. Marcello will mostly go over some more stuff. If you like what you're hearing so far, though, please subscribe and rate us on iTunes. As usual, this helps us out a lot. It helps new people find our podcast. It helps us grow, and we can keep bringing you new content. You can also email us at pushpullsales@gmail.com or tweet us at pushpullsales. We love to hear any feedback, suggestions for future topics, or questions that you have. And we also provide show notes on our website, which is pushpullsales.com. We will link to anything that we talk about throughout the podcast. The book that you mentioned earlier. Yeah. We'll link to that, and if there's anything of those sorts, you don't have to worry about jotting them down while you're listening. I know I listen to podcasts in the car a lot, when I don't have stuff available, as I'm falling asleep, I'm not jotting down notes. So,
we'll have everything available, and if you tried something and it worked out, great. Let us know. We love to hear the stories. We love to see people saying, "Hey, I tried that, worked out great." And likewise, if it didn't work and you think my ideas are stupid, let me know. Let me know as well.
You're welcome to start the debate with him.
You're right. If
Marcello loves a good debate.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have critics, you're not doing well. So you don't have enough appeal. So I'm sure there's some people that are going to disagree with that, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And this could be a topic in and of itself. The gatekeeper might go ahead and say, and Sherry, you can be the gatekeeper.
Okay. Am I going to do the right thing this time? Do I need any?
Okay, but pretty much the background is when you're the gatekeeper, is you're going to just say, hey, can you send me some information? So sometimes people will say...
Do I say yes or no?
No, you're going to ask that. So you're going to ask me to send you information.
See, you're screwing up already.
You're screwing it up already. So you're just gonna ask me for just say no, just send us some information. So you're just gonna just do that. You're gonna eliminate.
Say just 10 times.
It's 3, but yeah. You say, can you send me information or blah blah. So hey, this is who should I be? Let's come up with a normal American name. Tim. Hey, this is Tim from Alliance Company. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Hey, I was hoping to speak with Mary Miller. Is she available by any chance?
What is this call in reference to?
Actually, the reason for my call here is we were reaching out. Actually, we work with a lot of companies in the area, and in particular, we actually specialize in property and casualty insurance. And I'm assuming here Mary would be the right person to speak with in regards to that. Is she available?
She's not available right now, but if you can send some information over to me, I can be sure that she gets it.
Okay, that's not a problem. And I can certainly do that. I can certainly send you information. Let me ask you, so I can send you stuff that's actually pertinent to you. Let me ask you, right now, do you have the same company that's taking care of your workers' comp policy as well as your general liability, or are there two separate companies for that?
Same one.
Okay, so the same company does that. Great. How long have you been with the current company anyway? You might say, "Oh,
10 years.
I don't know." So I want to ask some probing questions too, and I want to be in a polite way, and I might want her to basically continue the conversation, and again say, "Look, so I can send you stuff that's pertinent to you."
Yeah. I think we covered that some in the cold calling episode too. Similar.
Yeah. It's a similar scenario where someone is going to say, "Hey, just send me some information." So the gatekeeper can do that exact same thing, and sometimes people do that too. They'll say, "Oh no, I can't give out that person's email," or blah blah blah. That might be true that they cannot give out that person's email. That doesn't mean that you cannot find that person's email and email that person directly. I'll say, great. Well, I'll be more than happy to do that, but can you also put me in their voicemail? If you can do multiple touches, you want to do that. So another pro tip here. Pretty much anyone, you don't like pro tip. Another top sales tip or top marketing tip. I got to come up with something, but basically, send a note to whoever you talk to. And one thing I do in my company,
to the gatekeeper.
Absolutely, yeah, pretty much. And this encourages my salespeople now to have more conversations. Basically, at the end of the week, they have a minimum number of thank you cards that they have to mail out to qualified customers, to people who they actually spoke with. Okay. So if they speak with a client, it has a lot of possibilities. Hey, I did all my research here. They have like 100 computers, and if we did IT for them, we would we could totally help them out. This would be a huge account for us. Yeah, I want to send that to the gatekeeper too. I want every single person to be like, oh, he's really nice too. And then same thing, if you have a conversation with the actual decision maker, both of them, I'll send it out to both of them. A stamp costs 50 cents, and it takes you maybe a couple minutes to write something.
Got a huge pack of thank you cards.
Yes, I would recommend that, and if you can have it on
sending your wife to Target to find clearance thank you cards.
Well, that was for something different. So that was for something personal.
Do you have business?
For my business, I have ones that have my company's logo, and the letters already has my company's address in the upper left hand corner, so I don't have to write something legibly 2 times, only once.
I don't think it's even legible once.
Yeah. So whatever. Regardless, we're gonna skip over that about my penmanship, and thank goodness penmanship isn't really required anymore in this day and age. So you want to do a handwritten note, an email, anything like that you want to follow up. Another one here, and people probably have heard this, but I'll say it again. Vary the times when you're calling and call at different hours. The president of the company, the owner of the company is probably there later, or he's probably there earlier. You don't want to always call at the same time. And we could do another podcast on what are the golden hours to call, what's the best hours to call, and the actual debate with that. So you want to vary up your calls. What some people do here, and it's not necessarily a bad idea in terms of following up. Let's say I called Monday morning. My next follow-up call is going to be, let's say, a week from now, Tuesday in the afternoon. I'm going to maybe a slightly different voicemail, a slightly different benefit I'm going to leave for that person. And then the other time, Wednesday, maybe I'll call really, really late afternoon or really, really early morning. So I'll vary it up a little bit. And that happens all the time. People work different shifts. You might want to call at lunch. You might get a hold of that person. You can also call different departments too, because again, the gatekeeper might always be blocking that person there, but someone in a different department like shipping or in IT, he's not trained to screen calls from the IT person, the shipping person. If you say, oh, you want to speak with the HR lady, you want to speak with IT, sure, whatever, yeah, go ahead and talk to them. Here it is. And don't be afraid to call. And when you call and speak to a different department, ask that person for what their extension is. Okay, great. They're not okay. Put in their voicemail. Yeah. Before you do that, let me ask you real quick. Do you have their email address? Okay. Or if you forget, call back and I say, hey, I just spoke with you. I just left a message for this person. I think the email is this. Is that right? And then get the email. But if you can get the extension too, you want to get them, then you can dial that person directly. A lot of companies too, just a way to get past the gatekeeper is to just use the phone to your advantage. I mean, they typically have dial by name directories, or you can kind of figure things out. So if you've been trying like crazy, and you know that Mary's always extension 100, and that I can't get past Mary, I can't get past Bob, what's to say you just keep going through? And the next time you call, dial 101, 102, 103. Anything I'm telling people to do, I have done because it works. And maybe it works because I believe in it. No, it works because it's good stuff. Yeah, I've absolutely done that, and I've tried to guess too. I say, okay, hey, man, I can't get past that. And some people are like that. They will just not let anyone pass. Just say, well, no, email me, and when it's time to do this, we'll go ahead and take a look. And if you wait for that moment to happen, I promise you're not gonna get the business, because you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna follow up with that person and say, hey, I know you guys said January is the time when you guys look at this. I'm following up. It's like December. Oh, well, we just switched. We went with this company. It happens all the time, and you're like, but what? But you said to email, and I would be put on this list or the follow up. There is no follow up folder. There is no magic list. It's the sales rep who follows up, who's at the top of the mind that is going to go and get the business.
Yeah, and more on postponement. Go back to episode 1 with preference, price, and postponement. We went over some of that stuff.
Absolutely. Don't lie. I hate to say this. I hate that it actually needs to be said, but don't lie. Some people will call and say, oh, I need to talk with this person. I need to speak to them by the end of the day. It's very urgent. Or some people will leave, and this is one of the most sleaziest ideas, and I hate to say it, but people will do this too. They'll leave a voicemail and they'll cut it off. And they'll say, hey, I'm looking for Mary Smith. This is Brian. It's very important she gets back to me by the end of the day. Oh, I'll put you through and I'll put you into her voicemail. Hey, Mary Smith, I have great news. If you can give me a call back at 123-456-7890, I have some wonderful news about, and then hang up the phone.
Ugh.
Yeah. See, exactly. People will do that too. They'll leave the message and they'll intentionally hang it up, or say, "Hey, I have a great program," or something like that, and then they'll say, "You've won," or "You've qualified." If you ever see the movie Glengarry Glen Ross, that's actually the premise of a lot of their calls too. They say, "Hey, I have this parcel here, and it's of land, and it's only good tonight." And it puts salespeople in a very, very bad mindset. But it's by the way, tremendous movie. Did you see Glengarry Glen Ross?
No.
We have to watch it. Do you know who Alec Baldwin is?
Of course.
Do you know who Jack Lemmon is?
I think.
Al Pacino?
Yes.
Okay. It's Kevin Spacey?
Yes.
Okay. All of them in the same movie. Tremendous cast. It's got Alan Arkin in it too.
Don't know him.
They're all really, really good actors. It's a really, really good movie. It's actually it's based off
about sleazy sales guys.
Yeah. But Yeah, it's a wonderful movie, and yeah, it was actually based off of a play. But again, they're lying, they're misleading people to get their attention and to get them to call back. So if I leave a message, say, hey,
Just like, what's the more modern one?
Boiler Room.
I'm drawing a blank.
There's Boiler Room. There's
Leonardo
Wall
DiCaprio.
Street.
Yeah,
Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah. Oh yeah, with a tremendous upside and all that good stuff too. You don't want to be too vague. So someone said, what is this call in regards to? So I work, I'm the sales manager for a logistics company. Actually, I'm a sales manager for the best logistics company. But, so what is this call in reference to? Shipping. Right. Okay, and they'll be like, all right, great, let me get you over to Bob. They might get me over to the shipping guy, and maybe Bob's like, oh, I only handle small package. Who you want to talk about international shipping? Oh, I don't know why they put you to me and puts in kind of a bad taste. So say, no, okay, hey, here's what I do. I help people with this. Who would be the right person? Mm-hmm. But yeah, you don't want to lie in any way, shape, or form. You don't want to mislead them. So let's see what else we have here. Sherry, do you have any questions for me or anything that we also got to cover? Knocking on the door and finding the right person.
All right. So can you, when you walk into, you're out, what do you call it? Not cold calling, canvassing. When you're out canvassing.
You are a foot soldier.
Okay. You're out and about. You go in. Someone's sitting behind that front desk.
Okay.
What do you do?
Well, I want to find out who the right person is. I want to see if I can get a couple minutes with that person. I want to go ahead and try that. My personal.
Does that ever happen?
Sometimes, yeah. And that's something you have to be prepared for too. You don't want to. It's no longer the whole AIDA model: attention, interest, desire, action. You don't know. You gave me a weird look about that.
I just heard AIDA model.
AIDA model.
Like,
the
like,
AIDA. Yeah. The AIDA model of sales is the old school. You want to get their attention, you want to get their interest, you want to get a desire, you want to get a decision, and have them sign a check or get money. You want to qualify them as quickly as possible. That's over. There used to be times where all you had to do was just get the person's attention and pitch them, and then people weren't as sophisticated in making actual decisions. So one situation you might run into, you say, "Hey, I'm looking for Bob." I called on the phone. I spoke with him. I figured I'd pop through and then maybe have a better chance to catch. Oh, I am Bob. Oh, hey Bob, how's it going? So Bob's like, all right, you have 5 minutes. Go. That is a trap. Don't go into pitching and stuff like that. And you just want to get information from. Okay, hey, that's not a problem. And you just want to be professional enough to say, okay, hey, I just want
a better time or
no. 5 minutes is BS.
Okay.
So and even if you only have 5 minutes, just start asking questions and being professional. If they cut you off and say, hey, look, I don't have a lot of time now, but I like what you're saying, and say, look, I have some information here. How about we go ahead and reschedule and set the appointment while that person is there? We have iPads, we have phones, people have their calendars on them all the time. So say, hey, can you call me back in like 2 weeks, stuff like that? I see what you're saying. Say, well, hey, how about this? If now's not a good time, like what you're saying, he cuts you off. Do you have your calendar out in front of you? No? Can you get it out real quick? Can we go ahead and match something up here? I got mine right here. How about we do this and make the most time and be friendly too. Say, hey, I was at the business next door. Even if your day was only to knock on doors and to cold call and to canvas that day, say that. Hey, I was just at the business down the street. It adds credibility. Or hey, I was just in the business park here, and I want to see if you had a couple minutes. I tried calling. I tried reaching out. I couldn't get a hold of you before. I just want to talk to you about this. I want to find out a little bit more about what you're doing. So again, we're very, very consultative, and the first step is to get information from the person and see if you really can help them. Because if it doesn't make sense, if you start talking to them and you go, okay, it seems like you can't really use my product, or it seems like, I don't even have what you need. You can just cut it short and say, hey, great, it sounds like what you're doing is very good. Actually, I don't have a service. If there's someone I can recommend you to, I will. But what you're saying, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And the other could be true, too. I mean, he might have somebody that could use what you're selling.
Yeah.
And if he likes you, he could refer you to them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, that just happened today. Someone cold called my company. And they were looking to speak with someone different initially, and it was for a product that couldn't benefit us, but actually I knew every person that would have been relevant for that person to sell to, and I gave him a referral right on the phone. Said, what do you want to talk to him about? Oh, I want to talk to him about this. Oh, okay, huh? And what exactly do you do? Oh, well, we do this. Actually, I just spoke with someone the other day who can use that. Where are you located? Let me get your information. I sent him an email. I sent him a lead that day, and that person was a very good salesperson. Actually, he was the president of the company. Followed up, sending him, hey, thank you for the referral. Blah blah blah. I got nothing out of it. I'm just pointing him in the right direction. But if he didn't make that call, if he wasn't professional, if he would have stopped at my door, I would have told him the exact same thing. I would have helped him out. And sometimes people will do that too. So people will say, hey, do you have a minute? Blah 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 is downstairs. Say yeah, I have a couple minutes. Or I might say have him. Yeah, I'll just talk to him real quick. And I might do exactly what I just said. I might just set an appointment with him real quick. Say, hey, now's not a good time. You have your calendar in front of me. Can you come back next Wednesday at 2:00? And we can kind of talk about that. So this is more face to face and all that stuff, and different ways and to get a hold of people too. You don't always have to go through the front door. I hate to say it.
So now you're breaking in windows?
No, we're not breaking in windows. You might use a different entrance. So let's say, for example, you're selling uniforms. I might be talking to a plant manager or to a supervisor or something like that. I might be talking to a foreman. I might walk through the shipping industry, or I might walk through manufacturing and kind of walk my way through. You'd be so surprised. No one will stop you. I mean, if you look like really shady and you're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable doing this, right, then absolutely,
if you look like you're supposed to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And another solid tip too, if you are selling insurance and you do use that method, if you have a clipboard in hand and someone asks you, "Hey, what are you doing here?" just say, "Oh, don't worry, I'm with insurance." And people will leave you alone if you have a clipboard and you say you're with insurance. People will leave you alone.
Only use that tip for good, please.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like we need a not a disclosure, but a.
Yeah, you want to use your powers for good. You don't want to use your powers for evil here. Try that. Try walking through a different entrance, and you'd be surprised. And again, if it's a small shop, or if you're walking into a professional office and there's one door, you have to do that. But don't be afraid to walk in. If a sign says, "I'll give you," and this is true. This actually happened to me a couple times. If a sign says, it says no soliciting outside, so the person up front might say that too. It says, salespeople are seen by appointment only, no soliciting or anything like that. I don't even see them. I completely block that out. So let's say I'm walking into a business and Sherry's the gatekeeper and she points out the sign to me and says, sales reps are seen by appointment only, or that sign says no soliciting. What are you doing here? So we'll go ahead. Do you want to be Sherry or you want to be someone else?
Oh, I'll keep being Sherry.
Okay. Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, and I'm assuming I see a name thing here. Hey, Sherry, I was hoping to talk to Sue. Is she around by any chance?
Oh, I'm sorry. We only see salespeople by appointment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, anyways, hey, I was just in the area, and actually, I tried reaching out to Sue, and she wasn't around a little bit. Does she have a few minutes here? Or maybe I could just schedule something while she's here now. Would you be able to grab her?
Okay.
You'd say okay. And she messed that up too, but that's okay. You were supposed to say, I'm sorry, the sign outside says no soliciting or says salespeople, so you're going to reference the sign.
Okay.
So we'll do that again.
Oh, did I mess up your bit?
Yeah, you did mess up my bit.
All right, go ahead.
So sometimes there are signs that'll say that. Some sales reps won't even walk in the door.
I'm sorry, sir. There's the sign outside says, no soliciting, and salespeople are only seen by appointment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought the sign said no smoking. Anyways, is Sue around? You were so thrown off by that. I will do that too. I do not see those signs. Some salespeople will see that too, and they'll go, "Oh, I'm not going in." The sign says sales. That sign is meant to keep out people that aren't selling a legitimate product, or people that
Do you also not wear shoes into stores?
What do you mean?
Like when it says like no shoes, no service.
That's something it's something totally different. But no, that sign is meant that sign is a gatekeeper in itself, and sometimes you just be polite. I'm sorry, I thought it said no smoking. So hey, I'm looking for this person. So it says no soliciting. Look, I'm not soliciting anything. I'm just trying to talk to this person. Until I know for a fact I can help the person, I'm not soliciting. And I'll give you some funny anecdotes, and then we'll kind of wrap up a little bit. There is one gatekeeper I dealt with, and this was selling. I was wholesaling a retirement plan over the phone. She was one of the nastiest people I ever dealt with, and she was so solid to not let anybody through. So here's the situation. I went to the person actually reached out to me. Her boss reached out to me. They heard of me from someone else. They reached out to me. We got them set up with an actual retirement plan. I am calling to set up a time to get the company enrolled in the actual retirement plan, and she says, no, he's not interested, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I know he is interested. I have his paperwork. I'm just following up and doing my customer service here. It's like, no, he's not interested. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, can you put me through his voicemail? No, you can't leave a voicemail, blah, blah, blah. So and I kept calling too. So, hey, I just have to get some time here so we can get you set up for this, blah, blah, blah. And the funny thing is that retirement plan, the way it was structured, would benefit her more than anyone else. She was the only other full-time employee. There was automatic there was automatic money coming in. She didn't have to contribute anything. So she was going to get, because of my call, an extra 2% of her salary put toward retirement for her doing nothing. And she's like, "Oh no, you can't talk to that person." So sometimes you just have to be friendly and to be polite. One of the most soul-crushing things, and I regrettably, I don't use your powers for good, not for evil. A bad salesperson kept calling my company. They wouldn't identify themselves. And our typical lady that answered the phone, our gatekeeper at that time, she's like, "Oh my gosh, people keep calling, blah, blah. How do I get these people to stop calling?" So I said, the worst thing you can say to a salesperson, and the most people will give up, is to say, if he was interested, I'm pretty sure he would have called you back by now. And she that was just soul crushing. And some people will do that to you too. Be polite, keep calling because you don't know. And in that situation, the other lady too, she said if he was interested, he would have called you back. He's not interested. I was like, oh, I know he's interested. I have a signed contract from him. I know he's interested, and you should be interested too. And lastly, what I'm going to leave it on, and one of the main tips too is to know what you're talking about, to not be ashamed to be a salesperson. And people will naturally screen people. Their defenses are up by default, especially on the phone too. I just the other day was calling up someone, not about sales. I wasn't even selling anything to them, something unrelated. They didn't recognize my voice on the phone, and they said, "Hey, are you a salesperson?" And I said, "Yes, I am. However, I'm not. This isn't a sales call. I'm talking about this. Remember, oh, hey, how's it going, Marcel? Blah. I didn't recognize. You won't believe how many sales calls I get, and blah 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 blah." So you want to be people by default will have their defenses up right away. And even if I was selling them something to and say, is this a sales? Well, no, I'm looking for this person. Want to talk to them about that. It's not. It's only a sales call if you interpret it as an actual sales call. If your first call is a fact-finding mission, it's a fact-finding mission. But you don't want to be ashamed and say, okay, are you a salesperson? And I get that a lot.
Fact-finding mission also makes me think of Dora. By the way, to bring it full circle.
So you have the troll under the bridge, all that stuff. So again, to recap, it's just some basic tips. You want to be prepared to answer the person's questions. Typically, you're dealing with a gatekeeper. They will say, what is this call in regards to? Is this a sales call? All that good stuff. Or no, we don't take that. Send me information. All that good stuff. You don't want to be rude to that person. You want to be professional. You want to get information from that person if you can. Don't pitch to them. Call different departments. Call at different times. Call high. Call the president first. Call as high as you can, and then go down. Use some of the email strategies that we talked about. Ask them for the email. Ask for the extension. Dial different extensions until you get the right one. If you want to guess the email or anything like that, find them on social media too. And Sherry can talk about that too. You can send a LinkedIn message. You can find them. You can find them in different ways, and that's something too we're going to cover how to utilize LinkedIn, for sales calls and how to market that way. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Hopefully you got some good tips you can use, and maybe something you didn't think of, or maybe it's something, hey, I stopped doing that, and I should do that again. So that pretty much wraps everything up for the week. I wanted to give a shout out to bensound.com for our intro and outro music. Thank you for listening. Tune in next week where we'll tackle another topic, and Sherry's good at the Twitter and all that stuff. So what is our Twitter handle?
So our Twitter handle is @pushpullsales, and our website is pushpullsales.com, which you can find all the rest of the info. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Is there any other way that people can get a hold of us?
pushpullsales@gmail.com.
Yeah. So either or. Are we on Pinterest?
We're not on Pinterest.
We're not. Okay. So
what would you pin?
Huh?
What would you want to pin?
Really nice suits.
All right. Sounds good. We'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.